authenticity and a true voice is what I think people are drawn to. Well, how would you describe your niche and what you've kind of created? It seems like every successful account has its own thumbprint. How did you find yours? How would you describe it?
There's 6, 7, 8, 9 topics that you're passionate about. Go ahead and make content about each of them and then see what sticks, see what your audience responds to.
Interesting.
Double down on what your audience wants. Clarity. You can't spend time on 15 different things and expect to see a large amount of progress. Okay? So you have to get clarity.
David Griffiths, we're going to talk about social media. We're going to talk about exponential growth and, all the things that, I probably say myself, he's like close to my age. I might be a little older, but I say, I'm too old for TikTok. I'm too it's too late in the game. Should have started in 2015. All those stupid things we say to ourselves. We're going to talk a little bit about Gary Vee. We're going to talk about social networking. I want to go back to tell us about, where are you from? What did you do for a living? How did you segue into what you're doing now? Tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is David, the digital creator, otherwise known as David Griffiths. And in an earlier life, I was a musician. So I love singing and playing. I have a master's in vocal performance from Peabody Conservatory. So I did a wide range of styles of music, and I did a live recording in 2012, praise and worship music. So I'm a songwriter and gospel musician, gospel recording artist. So I came from teaching music in the public school system and in the university at a couple universities, and I had a passion for sharing songs and stories, but also, interestingly enough, I really enjoyed the technological side of things. A lot of marketing coaches would say, as an artist, you need to develop a following, you need to get a social media following. And so that sent me on a journey to what I'm doing now, learning about content creation, how to get people's attention, to hook them, as it were, and to invite them to a deeper kind of relationship where you can provide greater value and also make a living from doing it.
Yeah. The easier said than done. We've all heard Absolutely. The same aphorisms about gaining following. Be consistent, and all the hooks and the value. And what was your journey like when you first started, and what really kind of clicked? What was that first video, or what did it look like for you? And how did you what was your pattern? What kind of pattern did you have to create in order to get, the algorithm of your success?
Absolutely. As a little backstory, at the time, at the beginning of the pandemic, one of my high school buddies, Jeff Vargas, who's a public speaker, he started a Zoom called Dudes Chat. And we would get together and encourage one another through these odd times, right? And one of my friends, Kevin, his mom had just died, and he said, "Hey, Dave, would you mind singing a hymn every morning to help me get through that?" And I said, I paused, and at the time, I'd actually stopped doing a lot of what I'd been doing because my marriage fell apart. I was depressed. I didn't really want to do what I used to do, right? You're a gospel musician and you tell people how good God is, but then your life turns sour. Well, what do you do then? So that was a hard time for me. But when Kevin asked me, I thought it was more than him just asking me. I thought it was God calling me, like, "Hey, what you gonna do? Are you gonna actually use what it is that I've given you?" And so I did what Kevin asked, and I realized by singing on Facebook in the morning, Kevin was excited. It helped him through the difficult times, but people other than Kevin or other than who already knew me wouldn't be able to discover me because they'd have to pay money, right? I'd have to pay money to advertise for them to discover me.
Yeah.
And I was a little salty because if you remember the early days of Facebook, they would say, "Oh, well, you need to have a Facebook page, a business page, and get people to follow your page." Yeah, I did that. Then I realized when I would post things on that page, like 12% of the people would see it. Oh, well, how am I supposed to get all the people that I recruited to follow the page to see it? Oh, I have to pay money now to advertise? That
Right.
was crazy.
The people that you went after, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy, right? But that was their business model. Hey, I ain't mad at you. You figured out a way to make your coin. I'm not mad, but I thought to myself, there has to be a better way. And so I started doing research and I came across Gary V or Gary Vaynerchuk. And as I was listening to him talk, he said that the best place to grow organically is the platform, even for a business, of TikTok. Mm-hmm. TikTok? So I'm used to the trends and the young girls doing the dances on TikTok, and dancing is not my gift. So I didn't really think TikTok was the thing for me. But since he said it, I said, all right, well, let me get a coach and let me laser beam focus on just this platform. And let me see if I can learn to do it. And I want to say, as you pointed out, there are a lot of things that people say and they often don't work. And you get frustrated. The key to getting to where you want to go is often, yes, getting a coach who already knows, who's already gotten results, mm-hmm. so that they can give you the system that they used. But it's going to take iterations. Mm. You have to get comfortable with the idea that you need to commit for a year. Mm. Like, okay, I'm going to do this consistently for a year, but it's not just doing it. It's doing something and comparing its success to 7 other things you did. Mm. And then comparing that to what's already trending or successful in your particular subject or niche. You have to actually go through that process in order to stumble across the thing that all of a sudden works. And when you stumble across it, then you have to double down on what works. And that's a piece that I feel a lot of people don't say because, as we try to sell something, we just want to tell you, oh, we know how to do it, but we're not often honest to say there's experimentation. Mm. Like, and you have to be okay with that. Like, all right, I'm going to try 17 different things. And over the next 60 days, I may get hardly any move until day 53. And on day 53, one post jumps off. So for me, when I started, I tried to do a few trends. Not so much happy with that. Right. I sang, but I got 100 or 200 views when I posted a video of me singing. So the audience was teaching me, that's not really what we want from you.
Right.
But the first thing that jumped off, I did something odd. I went to Chick-fil-A and I was driving and I said, well, this could be interesting. So I took my cell phone, I recorded me coming up to the window, mm-hmm. and then I turned the camera and I said, what's so special about Chick-fil-A? And just doing that, the conversations that jumped off, because at that time, there's a lot of controversy, like, is Chick-fil-A a lot better than Burger King and Wendy's and McDonald's? And hey, is there a religious component to them? And it's, what's going on with them? And that controversy, it went viral. Viral for that was like maybe 17,000 views. And so I said, okay, I discovered.
All it was a question in your car. Yeah. And then you just turned, what was it, like a 25-second video? No, shorter. And that's the thing. So first principle, it's a lot easier to learn how to get people's attention in a short video than a long video. And let me say, for those who might not know, why that's important. And what year was the Chick-fil-A video? That'd be like around 2 years ago. Okay, not that long ago. And so all you did was just go drive up, show people where you were at, turn the camera, and go, what's the big deal about Chick-fil-A? Absolutely. And you know what? I challenge one of your listeners to go do that, because here's the part that people don't get. So first of all, the algorithm pays attention to how long someone is watching your video. So if you have a 7-second video and they watch all 7 seconds, in fact, if they think it's funny, they'll watch it a couple of times because my facial expression was kind of funny. So they'll watch it several times and the algorithm will send that out to more people. If you had a 30, 45, or 60-second video and they only watch 7 seconds, then the algorithm wouldn't send that out to hardly anyone. Wow. This is a wonderful examination in psychology also. because you really kind of find out in real time, like just by back and forth, finding out what people are. That's the part that fascinates me with social media. And I, you can, because you can conceptualize all the things you learn online, and all, you can go see a top 20 list on like how to gain, followers, but it's ineffable. It's something indescribable when you do it yourself and you're applying it, because, who would have thought something that simple would have done so well?
You're right, but another thing is you have to really enjoy it. Like you have to like
Mm.
have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like because when you do this, when you do something and it's 30 days and no one's paying attention, like how are you going to keep doing that? You're going to like you get depressed. But if you make a game out of it and you're studying, then as you experiment, you're going to start stumbling across clues of what really is going to work. So it's worth the research, but you have to make a commitment for the long haul.
So what helped you scale from that point, from that video? Did that help launch more? Did it help you hopscotch? Is that right word? Help you hop along to the next, the leapfrog to the next thing, or how does that work next?
Okay, good question. So actually, it just taught me some of the mechanics of what it takes to get content that's relatable, right? Because if it's relatable to people, like we all eat, we all have to figure out where we're going to eat, right? So that relatableness, and then there was a little bit of controversy in the community conversation around the news or online. So that little concoction helped to stir and make it, I'll say, a mini viral. The next video that I had that actually had 1 million views was I got my camera, I put it on the stand, and then I started recording. I sat down and I said, wait, don't quit. And then I had a conversation pretending that the camera is a best friend. And I shared with them the things that I would have wanted to hear at a time when I was quitting in life.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Literally, it was authentic. It was from my heart. And, literally it got over 1 million views. And then I realized if I can talk to my phone intimately, like I'm talking to like if I could have a conversation with myself 5 years ago, what would I want to tell me? And I have that conversation and I post it, the authenticity and the emotion of it, it does really well. So that's something that I think everybody should consider, as opposed to always, I like doing trends. I like trying different techniques, but sometimes it's more about you being authentic and saying something that would resonate with the person that you want to connect with. Often that's someone who maybe is where you were 2 years ago.
How often do you post, and how do you come up with concepts? I mean, don't you sometimes come dry and you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do next? That's what's that like?
Okay, that's a really good question. So here's what I like to do. I recommend to people, look at your time on the platform, not necessarily as your unwind. Oh, let me see where the dancing cat is, right?
Yeah.
But take something to write with and go, all right, let me find 4 or 5 people who are creating content in the subject matter that I want to create content. All right, let me go to their profiles. Let me write down their highest performing videos. Okay, so you write down whatever the title of it is, and then I recommend that you grab the link and go to one of those pages that will convert it to an MP4 from the link. And then what you're going to do is you're going to look at these top performers and you're going to start coming up with a hypothesis. Why did this do well? And then, please don't skip this part. Then you're going to look on the page for the ones that didn't do so well and see if your hypothesis is canceled out by videos that didn't do so well. So let me give you a case in point. So right now I have a white shirt on. I know that the videos that I've created, the ones that have gone viral, usually I'm wearing gray or black. So if I put on an orange shirt, it's not that the video couldn't do well, but I'm saying the videos that have actually gone viral, that's the case. But in order to test that, you'd have to go and then look and see low performing videos. All right, did he have low performing videos where he was wearing a gray or a black shirt as well? Oh, if so, then what's the other contributing factor? So you want to check against things that aren't doing well. And then after you compile that, you take one video that you really like, that really resonates with you, and you recreate it. But when you recreate it, you have to recreate it with the same structure that the original is, but then you just put in your own personality and flavor. I'm saying this because the algorithm will recognize a structure that works, and it'll kick your stuff out to more people.
That's fascinating. So when let's talk about like if accounts go stale. Somebody was like, I've been stuck at 6 months for 200 views and there's nothing I can do about it. 6 months and 200 views and nothing. I mean, do you get stuck there, or is it automatically the algorithm just kind of switch on you and just say, no, this was you were doing the same thing, but as long as you do this, we'll reward you? Or what does that look? What does that? Do you know much about the algorithm like that?
Yeah. So I love your questions. I love your questions. Very good questions. So let me talk about that in two ways. Early on, people would talk about being shadow banned or talk about having an account that just wouldn't grow. When I originally started on TikTok, I had 2 accounts. And I did some experimenting on each of them. And then the one that started growing the most, then I just kept with that one and I didn't really follow up. I had the other one, like every once in a while I'd experiment with something on the other account. And if it worked, then I'd try it on my main account.
Yeah.
But the other account was confused. If the algorithm was trying to figure out who my audience was, it was probably confused by that page. And that's something for people to consider. By the kind of content you create, would it be possible to think, okay, this is the kind of person who would enjoy your content? Someone who likes sports, or someone who likes karate, someone who likes cooking, someone who likes travel. If there's a topic or a theme, and you can go, oh, okay, yeah, this kind of person would enjoy your content, then it would be easier for the algorithm to find people like that to share your content with, and they'd know, oh yeah, Tom's gonna love this because Tom loves travel. If you have content that's all over the place, it's very difficult for the algorithm to find a group of people to share your content with where it will do really well.
This is like being at a big Hollywood party. There's several different types of groups or whatever, any kind of party, massive, I'm talking like hundreds of people. And then this group is interested in this group is that. And rather than hop around each group, you're like one person for each group, like you're really, which is okay, but you're really trying to, and you'll meet the other people if you just concentrate on maybe meeting everybody or trying to meet people from one group. And then you can move over to the other group, and maybe you'll have a bit more traction there. Is that, it seems like that's the algorithm is built for that now it seems like there's a lot of prep. The more you prepare, you should take this seriously. It's like, this seems like, because once you launch a page and you start, you should know what you're going to, who, what, where, why, when, and how, who you are, when you're going to, your consistency, your dates, your times, know what to do properly, and then set this off, right from the start. Otherwise, you might, confuse the algorithm.
And then you feel like, oh, I'm shadow banned. They don't like me, right? And not realizing, actually, they would love for you to be successful. They just want you to do a better job of finding a consistent group of people that you appeal to. And there's another trick I want to mention.
Yeah.
I have some clients who want to pay me to help them share their message, but they don't want to take the time to engage people on the platform. So let me just say, the algorithm does not like it when you do not engage. And you may see some really successful platforms that took advantage of what I told you earlier, where they just only created videos that were on formulas that had already proven successful. And so you might go, oh, well, they're not engaging. Yeah, well, they're really good at that formula thing. For most of us, that's not the case. But if you post a video, one of the favorite things I tell my students to do is grab your phone and go, hey, quick question. I'm trying to get to know my online family. What's your favorite kind of food? I'll go first. I love Korean food. Let me know in the comments what you're going to eat tonight. So something simple like that gets people to respond because it's relatable. And when they respond, what you need to do is go to their page, look at their latest post, and then find something that's interesting, and you make a comment. When you start doing that, it starts getting the juices flowing. You start to develop community. When you start posting stuff on a consistent basis, as you do that, there'll be certain people who will always show up to your posts first, right? And then when you start having thousands of views, then you'll still be able to build a relationship with those people who are like your first responders. So that can really help you if you're stagnant. That can really jumpstart the algorithm.
Right. Asking questions, trying to elicit engagement, getting, trying to really, and then responding to them, don't leave a comment uncomment, kind of like engaging there. Well, how would you describe your niche and what you've kind of created? Because it seems like every successful account has its own thumbprint. Look at the guy on the skateboard. He was actually doing a lot of, the guy with the splash, or whatever, the juice that he was, the punch that he was driving when he on the Mexican guy on the skateboard in L.A. And, but he stuck that he was doing videos before that, and he did the same thing after that, and he found his little niche. Everybody's got a nice, unique thumbprint. How'd you find yours, and how would you describe it?
My coach, when I started on TikTok, he said,
"Who is your coach? Are you allowed to give him a plug?"
Well, I don't. If someone wants to know my coach, they'll tell them to DM me.
Okay. Okay.
Because so I've had several coaches, but my coach when I went to TikTok, he would say, "There's 6, 7, 8, 9 topics that you're passionate about. Go ahead and make content about each of them, and then see what sticks. See what your audience responds to.
Interesting.
Double down on what your audience wants." So when you do that, then you're able really to really like you have to be open to doing a multitude of things. Okay, talk about this subject. All right, well, talk about 4 or 5 other subjects and see of the things that are important to you or authentically are interesting to you, and then see what your audience is really interested in, and then double down on variations of what they show interest in. It really is a science, but it can be very rewarding as long as you don't just do something and not study the impact that it makes. You have to look at your analytics on a regular basis, at least once a week, and compare the content that does really well in your niche with the content that you're creating. And then it can help you figure out what really would work well for you.
Right.
Right now, my genre, the first thing that people really responded to, other than those videos that I said that went viral initially, when I would pray for people, I started getting a lot of responses. Like, praying? I'm used to people saying you have to do trends and dance. Why is praying something that people care about? Because there were people who actually wanted someone to pray with them, but they didn't have anyone in their apartment or in their home. And so they really responded, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. I can pray with him like I used to do with my family. So that was one way that it created like an audience. Okay, people who like prayer in the morning, okay, they like what David's doing. Or someone who really wants an authentic encourager to like give them like motivational, inspirational content. People really enjoyed that. When I would go live, I would play the piano. People would enjoy that. And then the combination started kind of emerging into like who David, the digital creator, was. And over time, I then said, well, since I have this opportunity, I've actually learned the systems that help you to grow on these different platforms. Why don't I teach my community what I've learned? And that's how my business began.
Do you usually try to stick with the same background, or do you mix it up? You go on locations, and I know, like, people getting used to habits, and patterns. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, you have such good questions. I'm kind of curious why you have such good questions.
I'm just in the moment to moment. Nothing's written down. We're just playing tennis.
It's wonderful. There's something that I didn't do recently that I used to do. And I think maybe this will kind of speak to that. I used to always wear the same hoodie. And it was like my hoodie, I had a designer make a graphic. It said faith-based social media. And it had a picture of a camera on it. My one of my business partners, he just went out for a walk, but he has that hoodie on right now. When I used to wear that, I was in Jamaica. I went on a trip to Jamaica with my mom and my son. 8 different people from 8 different parts of the island came up to me. Hey, are you that guy that prays every morning online?
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so it really touched my heart. But the thing is, when I stopped wearing that same hoodie, it stopped happening. So people don't think branding is important. But so the fact that I'm in Texas right now. I live in Maryland. I'm at an event in Texas. I'm actually going to post from here because I know previously, like, TikTok is a geo-focused app, so it will expose me to new people that I wouldn't be exposed to if I were at home. And that's part of what I did as well. Everywhere that I would travel, I would make sure I post and I'd make sure I'd go live.
That's fascinating. So where are you at today? What's happening with your career, like right now, like everything that's happened? Where personal and business, what's happening with you?
Content Creating Academy is the business that I'm CEO of. I have a passion to help people connect with the people they want to serve. I was teaching in the public school system in middle school. I had a great experience. I was getting kind of worn out. And the real thing was there were some things that I really wanted to do that I hadn't done yet. And I wanted to be able to enjoy my mother. She's 93 now. And I wanted to be able to enjoy her twilight years and travel with her, because she often likes to travel back home to Jamaica or for different things. And I know traveling now, she would need my support. My son is 20 and I wanted to mentor him. And so I wanted a family business where I can help him, but I can also be there for my mom as she wants to travel. So being a content creation coach became the perfect solution. So Content Creating Academy, we have a group coaching program where I teach people how to create content that actually gets people's attention and doing it in an authentic way. And my avatar is people who are tech challenged and people who are a little bit mature or older, because often they're the people who get left behind. They don't have the energy or the bandwidth mentally to do really elaborate things, but they don't have to. If they just use simple techniques to connect with their audience and convey their authenticity, but strategically, they can make their channels grow.
That sounds really good. What does mom eat and do? She's 93. Is it hereditary? What's happening with that? Real quick. Success leaves clues. I'm making notes.
Mom is, it's so funny because she walks every day. But when I say that, like, okay, so I'm not the skinniest person, so there may be days that I don't walk. But she doesn't take an excuse. If it's raining outside, she will walk inside the house. So her modus operandi is every day, whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to put in the work to be the best me.
Nice.
So she knows, she's constantly studying natural remedies, So she's good. She cheats from time to time, but she's good about getting her nutrition in, getting whole foods in. And if she gets sick, she has a lot of tools. She was a nurse as well, so she has a lot of tools to use to help her get back on track.
All right, had to ask that question. Now back to what you coach. Now, what do? You meet once a week with your students online, Zoom, and say,
Yeah.
"Well, I looked at your posts. You need some work," and then you tell them this. You might want to try this, and you kind of just reevaluate the work they did that week.
So, to be honest with you, here's what I found.
Yeah,
it's not just that. What I found is, first of all, people. When I tell people I have, 1,535,000 followers, they go, "Oh, I want that too." And then I say, "Okay, great. For the next week, I need you to post 2 reels a day." Right? And here's the structure. Most people will not do that. It's not that hard, but they won't do it.
Right.
Why won't they do it? That's what we have to deal with first. There's the headspace that they get into. They don't have the confidence. And if I told you that if you called 6 people tonight, that I would reward you by giving you $1,000. Well, I think you'd figure out a way to find 6 people to call. But if you were uncertain as to whether I'd actually come through with that $1,000, you might not even bother. You might say, "Oh, let me just go watch some Netflix."
Right, they don't believe it.
When we do not believe that what we do will actually have an expected positive outcome, it's very hard to get us to do it. Even in sales and business,
life,
introducing, making offers. So to me, that's the big thing. We had, we're just in the season of a relaunch, and we had a meeting Monday this week. We meet 2 times a week. We have a general education day, and then we have a Q&A day. And we spent time getting clarity on the most important thing that we're working on right now. Because when you have too many different goals, they're distractions, and they keep you from getting to the most important thing. So if I can help people to get in a better mind space, get clarity, then when we go to actually executing, techniques on creating content, they do much better. And then another thing is I get people in the community to help each other. It's what masterminds do at a higher level. So one of the mentors that I study, Myron Golden, I watch and I see how he'll have a Solomon Circle, I think he calls it, with $55,000 membership. But the people in his Solomon Circle, they go on each other's podcasts. They do joint partnership deals. They put on events together, or they help, like they'll be a speaker at someone else's event. And because he has these high-level people, all of them benefit from the fact that they're all very high-level people. So I wanted to establish that kind of principle in my community, even as we just get going at whatever level we're at. Because the more that we help each other, the more focused that we are, the more that we have a positive mindset, then I see a lot better results than just the execution of what we need to do.
All right, perfect. Top 5 time. Let's do a top 5. It'd be silly not to do it with your skill set. What are the top 5 ways people can scale their social presence?
Okay, number 1, clarity. You can't spend time on 15 different things and expect to see a large amount of progress. Okay, so you have to get clarity. 2, who, not how. I'm someone who loves to figure out how to do things, but quite honestly, figuring out how to do everything can lead you to be good at 15 things instead of great at 2. Who, not how. Instead of figuring out how to do it, figure out who can do it and make a deal with them. Barter with them, pay money, who, not how. All right? I'm like, yeah, he said 5, not 3. Oh, Lord.
I know you got him. I know you got the 5.
Yeah, I'm like, I got to go to the list. No. But one of the things that I think people forget, okay, so if you have clarity and then you have people to help you, it's easier. So the third one is it's easier to lead people away from pain than to pleasure. All right, so if a stranger on the street says, hey, come here, I have $100 bill I want to give you. You look at them kind of suspicious, like, did he pee on it? I mean, like, what is this? Is this a trick? He's gonna make fun of me and then make a video go viral, But if someone says, hey, dude, watch out, you're about to get hit, you're gonna like turn and see what's going on. You trust people to lead you, a stranger to lead you away from pain, but you don't necessarily trust strangers to lead you towards pleasure.
Right.
So you have to make sure when you're making content that you remember to lead people away from pain.
Concentrate on the negative hook will always get them, the answer to the negative hook, just not a negative hook and let it sit there. And start with the negative hook and then give them the answer to the negative hook. Got it.
Yes. All right. Number 4, alignment. You have to, I don't like it. Hopefully you can go back and recap the list for me. I'm getting old. But the 4th one, alignment. It doesn't seem like a nice thing to do, but if you want someone to buy what it is that you have that's of value, then you need to make sure that you remind them of how bad the pain gets. Yeah. So, all right. Someone says to me, hey, David, I hate my 9 to 5. I understand that you can help people launch group coaching programs. Can you teach me for $5? No, Fred, I'm sorry, I can't teach you for $5 because I invested over $100,000 to learn what it is that I know today. And so to just charge $5 to you, it doesn't make sense to me. Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. I don't need it. Hey, but hold on a second. Didn't you say that you're really depressed because of your job? Yeah. Well, tell me something. If you keep doing what you're doing, what do you think will happen with that depression? You think it'll go away or you think it'll get worse? Well, you're right. I think it'll probably get worse. Okay. So you want to really do something where the path is going to lead you further and further into depression? So you have to allow people to see how bad it gets. You have to allow them to know what rock bottom is. Because if you don't, then it's harder to get them to make a commitment to do the sacrifice to take you up on your offer and make the change that they want.
Right. Excellent. That was nice. I think it was number 4.
Yeah. I don't know. Number 5. I'm a lifeline. What would be, if you, I gave you 4 on the list. What would you add to my list that you think is missing?
I would say, know your true voice. Try to discover what your true voice is. That's with any artist, whether you're doing stand-up comedy or performing. Try to really find, that's to me, really saying, what is the voice that I really am that I'm going to share? And what's the bigger picture for me to make that authentic every time? Because authenticity and a true voice is what I think people are drawn to. Like to the guy that says, I gotta swear, the guy that says, that cooks and says, hey, here's how to make a steak. Don't fuck it up. That's who that guy, that guy I'm talking about, the cook.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I forgot his name, but he's authentic. That is who he is. You just know it. And I think people are drawn to the authenticity of somebody. So that's hard to really find out your true voice, even when you're doing stand-up comedy or you're performing on TikTok somewhat. To bring out that authenticity is, to me, paramount. I think that's a good number 5. I'd love to hear you piggyback on that somehow. How did you find your authenticity?
Well, people would tell me, I remember I sat down with a marketing person back in my days of being a recording artist, and I said, hey, I'm doing some stuff on Facebook, and I want to know how to take it to the next level. And she said, okay, what are your metrics like? Well, 27 people like the video. Okay, did you get any comments? I think there were like two people who said nice or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, David, did anyone share your content? No. Well, then I think the people who are liking it are just being nice. If someone's really excited about what you're doing, they'll share it. Now, I didn't like her saying that because in essence, she was saying like, you, you're not really that good, and people aren't being brave enough to tell you that, but they're just being nice when they like your stuff. But the real metrics that you need to pay attention to are sharing. A friend of mine, the same friend I told you that does Generationology is the name of his company. He's a public speaker, Jeff Vargas. He's the one who started that Zoom where my friend Kevin told me, he wanted me to sing every morning for him. Jeff pointed out something to me. I talked to him after a meeting with that person, and he was like, yes, and then that person does not realize that within different generations, there are different ways that we actually respond to content and show our value for it. So just realizing that there's a window that you have to look at the commentary that other people are giving you. If you aren't yourself and you do the techniques and you become successful, you won't be happy. So over the last several years, I've seen creators who created really good content and they figured out what the algorithm needed, but they ended up having to take sabbaticals or they ended up quitting their social media channel. And you wonder, like, well, you're really good. Like, you have hundreds of thousands of views. Why would you do that? Because they weren't being their authentic self.
Right.
They were really good at acting so that you would do the thing, like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Let me follow this person. And then they follow you, and now they have to keep making the same kind of content that they really didn't care about. So you're right. Authenticity has to be foundational to what you're doing because there's no point in becoming really good at creating content that people want, and it's something that you have no desire in doing on a regular basis or giving additional value for money for.
I think that encapsulates pretty much a lot right there. Everybody can identify with that, about doing what you think you should do rather than really want to do and what's your true voice. Tell everybody how they can find out more about you.
If you want to connect with me, I'm on Instagram at David the Digital Creator. I'm at David Griffiths Music on YouTube, and I'm at David Griffiths 07 on TikTok. I think right now, if you would like me to help you in your journey with content creation, visit Easy IG Grow, Easy IG Grow. And I have there 5 tips on what might be keeping you from seeing the success you'd like to see on Instagram. And that's my free gift to you. So I would love to be able to work with, I don't know if I had mentioned this earlier, I'm doing something called the Quick Wins Challenge, where I'm working with people one-on-one to get clarity and to get some quick wins towards their goals on social media. And I'm doing that because the rule has been do one to many, because that's the way you can scale your business. But then we have a lot of questions that don't get answered. And so I thought for a few months, let me do a promotion where I'm doing a challenge where someone gets to work one-on-one with me, and we work specifically on getting some quick wins and getting clarity that we're just working on one thing that's really important so that they actually will know, okay, I can actually trust David. He actually has techniques that work. And I can actually get individualized attention that will help me get further faster.
That's wonderful. You really had a lot of great, clues and examples. I just can't. I'm actually, when we're done here today, I'm going to go look back on your profile. We'll also be, joining you, but definitely look on your profile to look at all the content, because that's the lessons right there too. So, thank you so much for sharing. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure was mine, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to bolotour.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.